What's up, guys? So we have another epic episode, and we're going to be talking about this new Titan monster ape thing that we've been seeing, blow up all over the internet. And today we have
Orangutan.
Orangutan.
Lanky
You got to
Kong.
say it like this: Lanky Kong, Orangutan. You got to say it like a Mortal Kombat character, like the voice of
Orangutan.
So anyway, today we got my dearest friend, my brother from another English mother, Alistair, joining us from Dangerville. Figured we'd have, a big old talk with the three of us. So we're going to be talking about how this new monster, Titan, whatever the hell he is, like why you should actually consider him a worthy opponent for Kong and Godzilla. A lot of people are being like, he's not cool enough. It's just another ape. Godzilla already beat Kong. Why does this guy matter? So we're just going to go crazy and talk about all the ways that this new monster may end up being able to fight. Like, what's his way of combat? How is he going to actually be potentially this colossal threat of the monsterverse? So, Al...
Well,
Joe...
sorry to interrupt, but I actually want to point this out first.
Okay.
Fun thing for you guys. For you guys that actually participated in the poll, we actually have polls again.
Look at that.
It says... do you think this new Orangutan from the title reveal trailer is going to be the final boss? Why or why not? So, would you believe that only 30% of the people that voted, which by the way was like more than, I think 1.2 thousand votes, 30% said that he is the villain, like the villain. And then the other 70% of people said, no, there is someone else.
I was in that.
Oh, you were?
Yeah.
Oh, sweet. All right.
So, I think there's like two different sides of that. Like obviously there's like how, if you think about it a little bit more, you're like, yeah, there's probably a bigger threat. Like this is like the Darth Vader who's the Emperor, right? I keep saying that here recently with this guy. But then you have the other people who are just dead set on this not being that they just don't want him to be. So they're just going to play, no, I don't. I'm going to force him to not be the main threat because they aren't happy. It's not Space Godzilla. It's not Destroyer. It's not all of them. But that kind of makes sense because it would be kind of weird to kind of give away your big main threat, like, as the first teaser for your new movie, right? So I can see how 70% of the voters would kind of, lean that way. So, Al, it's your turn. So how do you think... like you said, you don't think he's the main boss, but when he is on the screen, how do you think he's going to actually be a worthy opponent? Like, what makes him special? Why should people give a shit?
I've been thinking of him almost like it's like the first MonsterVerse Bond villain, where he is like really incredibly smart and is going to be able to pull off things that none of the previous Titans have been able to do. Like being able to use more like weapons and armor. He's already utilizing war paint, and he's not even like kitted up for combat yet. You could have skull crawlers, like little rabid dogs. We did theorize that for Kong, but I figured it makes more sense for this like antagonist to use Kong's mortal enemies against him. He's potentially going to be able to command other Titans because he's got a mental superiority as well as a physical superiority, and could team with Zozla Halawa is another Godzilla, a really powerful Godzilla, and it could be an anti-Godzilla and Kong, where it's an anti-Godzilla versus Kong versus our Godzilla and Kong, and I think that would be
so like the dark versus the light of the same version.
Antichrist.
That would be cool because the Zolzalahar or whatever it was. That's from the book. So you went deep lore right there, Al. You're talking about where I think it's in Gia's mind, and she's recalling a story that the Iwi people talked about, where there was this one Godzilla, Zohazaha, or whatever hell, and it pretty much meant he was like a star. That's what the name like translated to. And he just flew around and he F'd stuff up. So very well could be in the background, and that would be kind of cool. So it's kind of like you're saying that like this is, but with this that he's like the first villain in the MonsterVerse that's actually going to use his brains to be the villain. Because like every other villain we've got, Muto, Ghidorah, Rodan, Mechagodzilla in a way, but Kong kind of is just a big meathead. He's a little smart, but he wasn't using his brain much in this fight versus Godzilla. So I think this would be a cool way to make him special, to make him this devious James Bond villain sort of character. That's a cool That's a cool kind of way of describing how he's just kind of in the background and he's just like this mastermind.
Yeah, and we
And it
do
kind of
have
makes sense.
some
Yeah.
inkling, at least from the teaser, that hints towards him being able to actually speak. I don't know if that was specifically a thing for the teaser, but when you speed it up, he does say hunger, which kind of hints that he maybe is a cannibal. He's a hunger. So maybe he's a cannibal and he's like, I want some Kong flesh. It's been thousands of years since I've had some. So this is like,
he looked like a guy who'd be a cannibal,
Yeah,
but
he
I've seen other people say that it sounds like New Empire.
What?
It
sounds more like Kong.
no, I'm pretty sure he said,
This is-
I'm King Caesar.
I am Space Godzilla. Now, this is what happens when you go 2 years without giving the fans anything, and then you throw them this really cryptic ass teaser. Everyone's over here being like, "Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said? Did you hear what he said?" It's like
Oh my
he
God.
just growled.
Yeah, I mean, to me, it just sounded like he said Konga or something.
it just sounded like he went. You know, like, and then people are like, but if you speed it up and then tweak the pitch right here, and then you tweak the pitch right here,
If you
it
replace
goes,
the audio with someone saying something, it sounds like someone saying something.
Here's why it would be. I don't know, man. Like, to me, honestly, you guys might not like this, but it's kind of silly for him to talk, especially like who
I
the
wouldn't be
heck taught
against
him
it.
English.
This guy's been down there for thousands of years and may have his own like tribe of people. He's not going to be speaking English if he's speaking anything, though. So, I mean, if anyone's speaking
like,
English, that's a good
he's probably speaking Iwi. Sure, I can give them that. But like English, I mean, when was the first time?
Yeah, he has no reason to know what English is.
He's not going to be like,
because
good day, sir, to whenever Kong shows up.
Unless Skarsgård's brother didn't die, and he's been teaching this guy how to speak English.
Oh my
He's letting
God.
him know that the humans on the
yeah.
surface.
Yeah, but like,
Oh, don't do that, please.
Why would this Kong align with Skarsgård's brother? But then that would make a good.
I don't
like,
know,
plot.
because it's a
Like,
movie. It's a
Skarsgård
James
against-
Bond villain.
So, unfortunately, he's not showing up.
Okay,
He
but
retired.
even better though. I think this orangutan will be able to talk, but not in the way that we think. Maybe he'll be able to talk to Kong, because in the last episode, Jacob, you mentioned something really cool that you said that he's going to play mind games with Kong. And by looking at this guy from the trailer, he looks like the type of guy that's going to mess
Don't
with
play
his
mind
head.
games.
Yeah, he's going to
Yeah,
play
I
mind
hate-
games.
I
He's
hate
gonna-
to use this comparison. Sorry, Joe. I hate to use this comparison, but it's the Joker for Kong. You know, like I hate that, but like, don't pull a Giganotosaurus here or whatever. With what's his face, and then completely botch it. But like, unfortunately, that is the comparison or the vibe that I get. You know, Kong he's got darker fur. He's more of a meathead. He's kind of quiet. He likes to be alone. Sounds like Batman. And then you got this guy who looks like an evil son of a bitch, who's all lanky and creepy
Yeah.
looking. Doesn't look
Yeah.
like he can actually do much physically, but you know, like, he's probably mentally really.
He's pretty
Anyway,
smart. He's going to
He's
figure out
messed
that
up.
Kong.
He's seen a lot of stuff.
Yeah, he's down to do some pretty messed up things on camera, and I'm going to go ahead and say this. Do not be surprised if this guy hits Kong where it hurts the most and kills somebody that Kong really holds
Someone
too
needs
hard.
to die.
He could
Someone,
kidnap Gia.
He could
Yeah.
kidnap her, he could just squish her, he could do things, and imagine how angry Kong's going to get. Maybe that's what he needs to beat this guy.
I
He
think
needs a
you
reason.
might be on. Okay, so Al and I were talking sometime in the last few days over this chaos of this teaser trailer here, and a random thought that popped into my head was, okay, so we're in the MonsterVerse. This is supposed to be like spiritual King Kong, right? We have yet to get a sacrifice scene, a sacrifice scene in the MonsterVerse. You know, the classic, iconic, freaking blonde girl getting sacrificed to Kong with all the Islander people going, for the 2005 people. Yeah. So we've yet to see that in the MonsterVerse. And now Gia, she's going to be older in this new movie. You know, the actress, I think she's probably like 17 or 18 now, so she's going to look more like an adult and less like a kid. She's going to be a little bit more of like, you know, like you can get away with kind of beating her up a little bit more. It'd be really effed up to try to, you know, have a little 12-year-old girl get, you know, like. But like, I think that would be a stake, like a high stakes sort of thing for Kong, because we know that Kong's not. He's got all this potential, and this is a fictional movie character, but whatever. But if you look at him, he's got all this potential, but he's kind of like, he could have been like an NFL quarterback, but he's too lazy. Like he's not motivated. Like he doesn't have that fire in him unless something awakens that fire. And that would be a really good kind of thing to get him going because he doesn't seem to want to do much. He's kind of Kong gives me hardcore like stoner vibes. I know I'm not trying to say he is, but like he just wants to chill. He wants to be by himself. He just wants to vibe out in the woods and kind of every once in a while he has some pre-workout and wants to go swinging and jumping around and feeling all swole and stuff. So to get him really emotionally invested, there's just one thing. It's kind of the both, but he just loves family. He's a family man, and so right now Gia is his only family. And that'd be just think of that dynamic of mind games. You find like Al, you've been talking about this. You finally find another Kong, Kong, and the first thing he wants to do is kill your only or do something bad to your one and only current friend, which is the little human girl. And so he's like got all this like just imagine that. Like imagine you're the only human ever in your existence, and then you finally find another thing that looks like you, and then it wants to kill your little dog that's been your friend for like your only like companion. Imagine you'd be like, what the yeah, John Kong
Kong Wick.
Kong Wick. I like it. Hey, there you go.
Like I'm already imagining a scene where where Gia and Kong are having their like bonding moment, and then like in the background or something, there's like the orangutan kind of looking from a distance, like, I know what you like, like this is your little buddy here. Now I found his Achilles heel. So he's probably going to use that to his advantage because what else is Gia doing in the movie other than just
what's her purpose? She can't be the cute little girl again. You know, like she's got to have some bigger role in her story.
So I like to think of. I mean, somebody else mentioned this in the comments, and I find this really interesting. I don't know if you guys watch How to Train Your Dragon, but I mean, they came out a long time ago. But there is this one character in the third movie called Brimmel, and he wasn't really much of a fighter, but he was really crafty. Like he was also really tall and lanky too, like which I find is funny. And he had these little, I think they're called death grippers. These dragons, they're really scary and everything. But he controlled them. They did his bidding reluctantly, but they still did it, right? So I'm here like, okay, I like that Al brought the idea of this Kong controlling other, like having his little minion skull crawlers doing his bidding. They could be like his troopers, getting rid of like the soldiers or something. Like, hey, Skullcrawler, go kill these guys. These guys are annoying. And then Skullcrawler comes and kills the little guys or something. I can see that happening. That's actually kind of cool. And I like how this movie, at least we think right now, that it's kind of pointing in that direction of this new Kong being like the sort of mastermind side of character. It really cements him as a villain.
Yeah,
like,
I think
that's
it makes
what
sense. Like he instead of just being another monster brute, he's a general.
Yeah, I think that's the difference from something like him and Ghidorah. Is that Ghidorah was kind of just like, right, everyone be free and do your own thing, break some stuff. But with this one, it sounds like he's going to have direct control. Yeah, and a structural, a hierarchy to like an army. And I think that's probably his empire is going to consist of mass amounts of monsters. For some reason, they're going to the surface, and I reckon Godzilla's going to be like, hang on, what's going on here? And something below, there's got to be some reason that they're going from the surface and below, and why.
Yeah, that's a good point. Like, why would they need to, why would this new empire, and why would our General Orangutan, man, he gets a cooler name every time we talk about him. Why would General Orangutan want to go to the surface? General Orangutan. You heard it here first. Yeah, so usually in these sort of movies or these sort of stories, books, video games, usually when something from below, like Gears of War, perfect example if you're familiar with that franchise, is that the only reason that the locusts were coming up to the surface and were attacking humanity is because down in the Hollow Earth, where their Hollow Earth, where they were being pushed up, like something worse was forcing them out to where like, yo, we got to leave or we're going to die. And those people on the surface, sorry, but we got to take your stuff. So if, we're going to kill you because we need a new home and we don't like you, so it's like, what sort of stake is this guy? Just an evil asshole that wants to take over the world? That doesn't make sense. That doesn't really make sense. So I think, there might be something pushing him away, which, hey, we don't exactly know what it could be.
It's not a bad idea. We obviously know that Godzilla's going to Brazil and stuff, like, and he's probably going to fight another monster. Is he going to like essentially slaughter this monster and then later find out that all these monsters are essentially looking for safety instead of looking to destroy things because this orangutan has woken up and is eating them or doing whatever, enslaving them and using
That's
that
actually
to his advantage?
good. Yeah,
That's good. Yeah, that's a little bit better than my whole like, something's chasing him out and he's doing it. Like they're running away from him.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it implied with all the dead bodies. And it's like something awoke this guy, and he's like, we know in the lore that there was a faction of Kongs that wanted to enslave the other Titans and pretty much make them their bitch. It sounds like it's this guy.
Probably this guy. Yeah.
You'd want to get away from him, right? If you were stuck in a neighborhood and your one neighbor was deciding he wanted to, like take all you guys over and like kill you occasionally and maybe eat you, you'd probably want to leave too, and you would do anything you could to get away. So if Godzilla naturally is going to be like, hey, whoa, bro, and he's going to try to buck up because we know he's kind of an egotistical son of a sometimes. As soon as he goes and shoulder charges one Titan that's trying to just escape for its life, they're going to be like, what the and they're all going to be like, screw this guy, we're trying to survive, and you're trying to keep us back where we're going to get turned into mulch. Yeah, it's a cool idea and a cool concept. I like this is a lot of fans they're stuck in the Toho kind of mindset of like, big monster go rawr, must fight go boom, right? I think this kind of take of a more strategical mind thing is it's cool. It's kind of like what dare I say, it's kind of like what Space Godzilla and Destroyer kind of did, to where they had Godzilla Jr. or Godzilla's son in those movies. Like they always kind of picked on him a little bit. They kind of played some mind games with him. So
I think a lot of people aren't seeing the potential of this Kong, of this orangutan, because it seems like it's going to have the most depth of any of the MonsterVerse antagonists. Partially because
there was more character,
can feel things, and actually hates things. Ghidorah was basically just hatred, just wanted to destroy. The Mutos were probably the most depth up to this point because they were very animalistic and they just wanted to love, let them love. And Godzilla was like, no.
No love for you.
Invasive species is all they
and now we've got a character that has actual motive, and we're going to learn about that motive. And it's going to be super interesting. I think people need to get past that. It is just a monkey, and it isn't just a monkey. You're not seeing the full picture. Think about how many other films there are that have people as an antagonist, and they go, "Oh, it's just a guy. Why isn't it a metal robot or something?"
I feel like we haven't seen we haven't seen this monkey in 360. So
this is just a 15-second thing,
Yeah. So fun fact. So like on Goji Center, we posted a picture of a recreation of what we saw on the trailer. So we're like, okay, so we're like raising the brightness. We basically created this like model, right? And then KDM pulls up and he's like, somebody asked him, like, hey, can you grade it? And he's like, it's okay. So he said it was an okay recreation. So that tells me, that kind of tells me that maybe there's more to this animal's design that we don't know. So we haven't seen his back, maybe he has some cool like rocky formations on his back or something. Maybe he isn't a Kong.
Have you seen that
for all
concept art for Skull Island where he was a lot more skinny and lanky and stuff? So I've heard people say that's like a lot closer to what this orangutan looks like.
Yes. So I don't think we've seen the full picture of this animal yet. I feel like in the trailer we'll be like, oh, maybe this thing is really cool. I feel like that's the nudge people are going to need, because right now it's just a big skinny monkey. But to your point, Al, about the whole, people being stuck in Toho, I think it's time to move on. Like Toho, we can't be recreating Toho for the next 200 years. I mean, Toho at some point, it was a new thing, and everybody loved it. The MonsterVerse is bringing new creatures, and this is a new thing too. We need to embrace it. This is like the new generation of monsters, and it's freaking badass if you ask me. Like, I think we need to accept it now and give this orangutan a chance, right? Because so far it's pretty cool. I'm seeing around that it's being referred to as a kaiju hunter, which proves both of your points about this animal hunting these animals down, and they're all going to the surface. I think, to go to where we're going to talk about how he fights and stuff, he's a bit more ingenious, so he might even go as far as creating traps for Kong and Godzilla. Like, he's a hunter, right? What do hunters do? They're smart,
I like the
they
idea
hunt you down.
I like the idea of his.
They'll track you.
We've been talking about how he's going to like his overall thing will probably be more of a mastermind sort of villain, if he, more than likely. But yeah, when he does have to throw down, we know he's going to be able to, and it kind of makes. I like the Hunter comparison. I like that. So he's above the game. He's thinking one step ahead.
Also, if you've seen it, he's got the red war paint, and on the architecture in Kong's temple, it also has the same red paint on the walls.
Did you notice that,
so
Joe?
He associates that red paint with his own kind, so I feel like he could probably use that to his advantage. Where he's going to see some red paint, he's going to head towards it, and then at the end, it could be a trap.
Yeah, because and where he sees the red handprint, and obviously there's a red handprint on the door. This guy has what looks like a freaking red hand of Saruman handprint on his face, like he's an Urukai. And I think that red paint is gonna have some more meaning now.
Maybe he's the one that pulled in that temple, and that's why that place is abandoned.
He's the one that put the axe in the big Godzilla's head. You never know.
He probably was the one with the big hand there, or I don't know. Maybe not.
You never know.
I don't know.
You never know. It's just, but like all these tie-ins are kind of coming together, and it's really cool because it's like the first time where a MonsterVerse movie actually feels like it's connected to the MonsterVerse movies that came before it. So it's like we're actually able to kind of, the lore is becoming lore, and it's not just random bits of information kind of glued together.
Yeah,
so
here's my worry though. Here's my worry. There's a lot of lore to cover in this movie, and whenever they finally come out with like the duration of the movie, I really hope this is not another hour and a half movie.
This has to be like a 2 hour 20 minute.
Yeah. If it is, I'm gonna be really worried.
Well, it seems like that was just like cut down massively. So I hope, because it seems that he's refined it a lot more, and he's not just cutting out story parts. They haven't done loads of reshoots. So hopefully, it's just like a nice, refined, fast-paced 2 hour 10, 2 hour 20.
I think they got it all. Yeah, I think they got it figured out, because I think Godzilla vs. Kong was going to be probably around that time limit, but they were playing it so safe with that movie that they had to go and like take it. They're like, we can't have any of the human crap, because that's what they hated about King of the Monsters, just monster porn. And they got their money, and they got their fandom, and they got their franchise, and they got their new empire. So, like, it makes sense, like, now you can kind of have a little bit more fun, you can play a little bit more. And the synopsis kind of implied that, like, the human characters aren't going to be a joke this time. Not that they're a joke, but, like,
they might say more than there was a war. Anyway, that's enough of that.
Be useful.
They might actually be. You might actually like them on the screen.
Yeah,
because
I think
heroic adventurers. Like, I want to see Homeboy, like in Gia, and I guess they have Eileen Andrews' character still. I want to see him just swinging around and like doing cool stuff, adventuring, actually exploring the Hollow Earth. Like,
you do need humans to understand the lore, because they have a lot to explain here. How are you going to explain Skull Island, the origins of the Titan War? Like, you need humans to articulate that on camera so that you will understand.
I'd like if these humans were kind of the role of the human characters ends up being kind of like the role of the human characters from the classic King Kong story. We have these explorers going down into the Hollow Earth. We know they've already been there, but like if they're expanding, then we get that whole dynamic of like people and like monsters attacking them, and then all these challenges and obstacles that they have to face and overcome. And that's why I love the classic King Kong story. That's why they keep on retelling it for the last 100 years.
I think they should just get David Attenborough to narrate the whole thing. I reckon. Just make it simple.
That's really cool.
Kong, the Titan War happened 5,000 years ago. If you look at this wall, it's some bullshit.
That would be cool. Going back to Orangakong, though, and him fighting, a lot of people are calling out the fact that he's like a lanky meth head looking guy, which, I get that. But he's got a hell of a reach. So, like, his arms look stupidly long, and his legs are, like, awkwardly long, too. So this guy is going to be a climbing machine. He's going to be able to stick his hand out and block Kong, and Kong's going to be back here doing the classic, like,
imagine that long arm with a long weapon. There's no way Kong is going to get close to him. Like, he can't, even if he has a long weapon, like...
Yeah, Kong's going to have to just, like, brute charge, knowing that he's going to take a hit or two and just get in close. Yeah. So range is huge. Like when it comes to fighting, go. If you guys still don't believe this monkey guy could be a good fighter, okay, go find a guy who's like a foot taller than you. His arms are like 3 feet longer than yours. Try to go like box him. Try to go wrestle with him. The dude's
can't get to him.
He's gonna stop you before you can do anything. So like that's kind of where this is he's going to be capable. Now, if Kong
Yeah.
gets in and he tackles him and Kong's on top of him, good luck, because Kong's a meathead. He's
Yeah,
yoked.
it's like imagine. Here's an analogy. Imagine you're fighting somebody with a sword with a spear. Okay, you have them that range, right? But once they get past the tip, you have absolutely nothing to fight him with. You know.
Yeah.
So that's kind of how Lanky Kong will work. Except Lanky Kong probably has done this a million more times.
Oh, he
than
knows
Kong.
how to. He's killed a few people.
He
in
knows
his day.
he knows the weaknesses of both Kongs that look like Kong, and he knows the weaknesses of Godzilla's, and he knows the weaknesses of many other titans.
Apparently, every Titan, because he's just got a graveyard of dead corpses. I like the idea of the whole hunter thing. That really does like make sense, and he's like killing them, and it's gonna be cool to see how he fights. I'm really curious. I think we're gonna get that mastermind character, and then eventually he's gonna have to fight. But I'm still not completely.
But what about his weaknesses?
Certain that we're not going to have
talking
more.
about like his strengths
Good point.
and stuff.
Good point.
Like,
Good point.
what are they going to have to do to overcome it? Because I severely doubt it's just going to be the two of them team up and they're just like uppercutting him or whatever, and suddenly he's weak because the plot decided it. Is
they already did that with Godzilla versus Kong.
Is something going to drain him of this Hollow Earth energy that he seems to be powered by, or are they going to utilize something else? What could it be?
Well, there's two ways to look at this. One way is to try to defeat him, you know, and the other thing is entertaining the idea that he is in fact controlled, perhaps by another kaiju, and then beating him. To beat him, you need to beat what's controlling him. You know, there's two angles to this. So let's go ahead and talk about real quick. Let's just talk about how we can defeat him as a kaiju. I think. Maybe I don't know, man.
I got something.
It's just being smarter. Like you have
That's what I was going to say.
him.
I got something. You have to beat him at his greatest potential game, which we're all kind of assuming is going to be mind games. You got to beat him at his own thing. You got to distract him. You got to make him think he won and he didn't win. Or maybe this Kong has emotions. Maybe he has a heart, like a little heart for something, and Kong takes that away, and it distracts him long enough to break his mind, or and like he's able to get the upper hand. I agree with you. We have to have more than just here it is, Godzilla and Kong are gonna team up and slap them around a little bit. Like
if we can assume what like the
it'd be
Hollow Earth
cool,
energy's
but
gonna do, like we've theorized for ages about the lightning powers and stuff, and I think there is a possible chance that he could utilize. Every time he hits, it goes like every.
Yeah, I wouldn't doubt that this guy has
away
atomic
from that power
slaps.
source. If, say, Godzilla swims up to the surface, is that going to prevent him from utilizing the Hollow Earth energy? Is it kind of like Energon for the MonsterVerse universe?
There's another one. I like that you brought that up. Maybe Kong will have to learn to use the same powers that Orango Kong has to.
Pretty sweet. This is how Kong gets his powers.
Because let me tell you this. I feel like they teased already that Kong can use extra powers, but he just doesn't know how to use them yet. Okay, so let me explain. So in the scene where Kong picks up the axe and he looks at, he's like, yeah, and then you pause it, you're gonna see that the axe handle lights up when he lifts it.
Oh, it goes like red, doesn't it?
Yeah, it turns red. So how, if you ask me, does that axe, like, he probably projected some energy into the axe. That came from him. Okay, because that thing lit up whenever he lifted it up, unless that thing is motion triggered. I don't know. But I'd like to think some energy from him went into that axe. At least the axe handle, Well,
like he's been, in the small time he's been in the Hollow Earth, he's been like absorbing a little bit of radiation, so when he touched it,
like whenever you rub your socks on the floor and then you like zap
a little bit
something.
Of static. Yeah, static.
Something
you got a little
like that.
static there. Yeah. Maybe. Yeah, I'm curious to know how they're gonna do it, because they're definitely implying that this Kong, Orangutan, has some sort of, he's more than just muscle, like what Kong is. So he might have a little bit of extra juice in there. There's got to be a reason why he's still alive. There's so much more we don't know. I just know it's going to be epic whenever we do get to see him fight. And I think, ultimately he's gonna probably die in a really cool way, and that's epic, right?
Yeah, I mean, maybe there has to be. There is a mastermind behind it all. I've seen some people theorizing that he's being controlled by something that is going to be the final boss. Going back to your poll, and I do think there is going to be a final boss. Not that everything has to be a mystery. Like we knew what the Mutos were. We knew that Ghidorah was going to be the enemy, and we knew that Mechagodzilla was going to be the enemy because of leaks. But also they revealed the toy like 5 months before the film came out. So maybe we'll learn about a secret enemy eventually, but I do feel like there is going to be one.
I'm still holding out. Like, this idea keeps popping up more and more. And you mentioned KDM; he's always been so damn cryptic. But throughout his crypticness, I almost feel like we might like there's like an Elite Four. Like, there might have a chance of, like, you know how like we see this in other stuff too, to where it's like, there's, you got the first guy, then the second guy, then the third guy, and then you actually go against the main guy. Wouldn't that be kind of cool? That it's what was that movie with Bruce Lee? Like, one where he was like going against different phases of like kung fu fighting and martial arts guys and all that, and he actually fought a big Abdul, I think, like the big basketball player from like the 70s. Mm-hmm. Yeah, he fought this big, giant, tall, lanky guy who has a body like this guy, and like, so like maybe this guy is just like one of the steps, and potentially we'll see another teaser come out, and it's gonna be, this other like, Titan just sitting doing something in a throne, like, and then imagine how we're all gonna freak the frick out if they show another boss guy sitting, like another. Teaser
what if he defeats the boss, and then you like see the outline of something, and then the film ends and just says part 1.
I just don't think. I think there's much more to it. You don't reveal your big bad guy very first. Mm-hmm. I think you reveal this guy, and look at how we're all freaking the fuck out over this.
Yeah, there are more teasers coming. I know that, but you guys' point, I wouldn't be surprised if there is another kaiju, maybe even a kaiju that we know already that has the same blue eye glow, and that will, in my opinion, confirm that there is a big bad, because
there's some more stuff that we can't like mention to you guys, unfortunately, that we've learned from talking to other people who actually have their mitts in the monsterverse, that there may be many more things in store for us, and we'll just leave it at that. And I don't know, I think this Orangakong is cool. I can't wait to see him fight. I can't wait to see him definitely rule people. He's definitely going to have some sort of control over a group of something.
I feel like he's going to win over people criticizing him when people see
I think
what
we're
he's
going to
capable of in terms of his intelligence, his combat style, his powers. I hope they don't just like kind of cheat it and they do what they did with Mechagodzilla, and now Godzilla gets his ass kicked with reasons that he doesn't seem like he'd be able to get his ass kicked. In this, hopefully, he actually he shows why he's got the upper hand over Godzilla. And I'm sure he will, considering that he's got a humongous size. Like, if he was struggling against Kong, he was just basically an inexperienced monkey versus this guy that's
Kong's like nothing.
Experienced predator of the monsterverse, basically.
Mm-hmm. That is one thing that people, we're getting to the end here. But that's one thing people don't remember, is that Kong, or don't really think of, is that Kong was literally like a guy who used to like he was like Kimbo Slice. He fought on the streets and he beat up a bunch of people that didn't know how to fight. And then Godzilla's like reigning champion, like he's like an actual fighter. And Kong still, he still kind of gave him a game. Imagine you're just Joe Schmo and you go and give whoever the champion in UFC of like, the heavyweights is right now, because Godzilla's big. And you actually give this guy a challenge. Obviously, he whoops your ass, but like you actually make him like bleed. Oh crap! So
kind of knock him out too.
and yeah, exactly. So this new Kong, I think we're all going to be liking him a lot more. I don't think there's going to be some people that are never going to accept him because he's an ape. But whatever, that's fine. You're still going to watch the movie, right?
Apist.
so apist. Yeah, don't be apist.
Stop being Titanist.
It's because he's an ape. Jesus. So, anyway, guys, I think we're at the end here. We've pretty much talked about this big old Kong thing long enough. The whole internet's been blowing up about this guy. I think we all need to let it settle with him and wait till we see a little bit more. But I think we've come to the determination that he's going to be a worthy challenger to Godzilla and Kong and the humanity and the whole entire planet. So, Mr. Alistair, thank you for joining us today. It's been good, brother.
I love you.
Oh, ain't that cute. See you guys.